How's it going, everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name is Swanee, and today I'm going over the brand new stratagem that was just released with the completion of the latest major order, the MLS-4x Commando. Now, the Commando is an expendable missile launcher that comes equipped with 4 laser-guided missiles, and I gotta say, after my testing, I ended up really enjoying this new support weapon. So I'm going to give you guys the breakdown and my thoughts on this new weapon, but first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Outplayed. Outplayed is the ultimate video capturing app that automatically captures your highlights and biggest moments while gaming. You can set it up to record specific in-game moments or even record entire matches. And one of my favorite things about Outplayed is that I can quickly and easily edit down clips in the app itself without needing additional editing software, which has saved me a ton of time working on my videos. So what are you waiting for? Outplayed is completely free and you can check it out by clicking the link in the description down below. And thank you to Outplayed for sponsoring today's video. So breaking down the MLS-4x Commando, for starters, it has a 2-minute cooldown time, which can be reduced depending on how many ship module upgrades you have. My cooldown time is around 1 minute 46 seconds with some upgrades, which isn't too bad, and it can be upgraded even more. I just haven't gotten around to upgrading all the ship modules yet. So it definitely has a lot longer cooldown time when compared to the expendable anti-tank launcher, but with the Commando, you get 4 total shots versus the expendable anti-tank where you only get 2 shots. So the expendable anti-tank has about half the cooldown time, but you get 2 less shots. And I've already seen a number of different comments in the community saying that the expendable anti-tank is kind of obsolete now because the Commando is just way better. And I don't think that's true. It's still very useful for a number of different scenarios. Having that very quick cooldown time is still pretty handy when you're facing things like Chargers and Bile Titans and stuff like that. And I feel like the new MLS-4x Commando works really well in tandem with the expendable anti-tank. In a lot of my testing, I actually brought both the expendable anti-tank and the Commando together because I would call in the expendable anti-tank, and then while it was on cooldown, I would call in the Commando, and then while the Commando was on cooldown, I would normally already have another expendable anti-tank ready to call in. So I would just alternate between the 2 launchers, and I would constantly just have missiles to fire at my enemies. So this is a really great combo if you're doing like defense missions, especially if you have teammates and you're all rocking the same loadout. You can just constantly be calling in missile launchers. Anything like tanks or Bile Titans or Chargers or anything like that isn't going to stand a chance if you rock both the expendable anti-tank and the Commando together. So if you see people saying that the expendable anti-tank is obsolete, don't listen to them. It still has its place in the game, and I feel like both of those support weapons work really well together in the same loadout. So next up, let's talk about one of the major selling points of the MLS-4x Commando, and it's the laser-guided system that it has. Each shot that you fire off will be guided by the laser, so whatever you point the laser at is where the missiles are going to go. So if you rapid fire multiple missiles off at the same time, all the missiles are going to go wherever the laser is pointed. This is really good at taking out Automaton gunships, especially when they're swaying back and forth and they're normally pretty difficult to hit. Using the laser will almost guarantee that you're always going to hit your target. I found this especially pretty useful when it came to closing bug holes. I normally always miss the bug holes for some reason. Either I'm getting hit by an enemy and it knocks me off target, or I misjudge the arc on the grenade pistol or the grenade launcher. The point being that I normally always miss the bug holes, but when using the new Commando, I just point the laser directly into the hole and the missiles will hit every single time. So I ended up really enjoying the Commando when it came to blowing up some of those big bug nests. And then on the opposite side of things, I was even more impressed when it came to blowing up automaton factories. This new Commando can one-shot insta-kill a factory no matter where you hit it, which is amazing. When it comes to any of the other support weapons versus the factories, you normally have to shoot something directly down through the vents to blow up the factory. Well, with the new Commando launcher, you can just safely sit back at a distance, just point the laser at whatever factory, and it will insta-kill the factory no matter where you hit it. So I feel like the new Commando launcher is an absolute S tier when it comes to like objective type missions when facing the automatons. It was super handy to just be running around the map with this launcher, and I came across a radar jammer, so all of my stratagems were jammed. I didn't even have to get up close to the radar jammers. All I had to do was shoot the factory that's directly beneath the radar jammer, and it would instantly take out the jammer, giving me full access to all of my stratagems again. So the fact that the Commando can take out jammers and factories at a distance, I feel like that alone probably makes this worth bringing on pretty much any of the automaton missions. Another cool little feature I want to mention about the Commando is with the laser. If you hold in the reload button, it will give you the option to turn on or off the laser. So if you want the laser targeting and you want the missile to follow wherever you're pointing the laser, obviously you keep it on. But let's say you're just struggling a little bit with the laser guided system and your shots aren't going exactly where you tell them to. If you want to turn off the laser, this thing will basically just become another expendable anti-tank launcher, and your shots will just go directly where you shoot them. So I just wanted to point that out in case some of you guys were using this and you just didn't like that laser function. I just wanted to point out that you do have the option to turn that off. So next up, let's talk about damage numbers. How does this thing perform against different enemy types in the environment? Well, when it comes to facing the automatons, when you're going up against something big like a tank or those cannons that you come across in the environment, normally I found that when you're facing tanks, if you shoot them in the weak spot, which is their heat sinks, it will normally take about 2 missiles to take out a tank. Same goes for those cannons that you come across in the environment. It will normally take you about 2 missiles to take out a cannon, depending on where you hit the cannon. And then when you're facing Hulks, if you shoot a Hulk in the eye, it will one-shot kill a Hulk. And then if you manage to get behind a Hulk and shoot it in the back, you can also one-shot kill a Hulk by shooting it that way. So 1 shot to the eye or 1 shot to the back will take out a Hulk. The Commando will also one-shot kill Scout Striders. So let's say you're facing a small group of 4 Scout Striders. You're looking at about 1 missile per Scout Strider. Then when facing up against air vehicles like the gunships, I was a little disappointed when I found out that it takes at least 2 missiles to the thrusters to blow up a dropship. When compared to the expendable anti-tank, it would normally only take 1 shot to the thrusters. So if the bots ever call in reinforcements, they normally bring in 2 dropships at a time. And if you want to take out both dropships, you're going to have to burn through all 4 of your shots. Now, fortunately though, when you're facing the gunships, it will normally only take 1 missile to the thrusters to blow up a gunship. But if you miss your shots and you don't hit the thrusters and you hit them more in the body, it's going to take at least 2 of your missiles to blow up a gunship by hitting them in the body. And then in my testing against the Factory Strider, I ended up actually being a bit surprised. I found that it takes 2 missiles to blow up the cannon that's on top of the Factory Strider, and then it normally takes 1 to 2 missiles to blow up the miniguns on the front of the Factory Strider, but it kind of just depends on where you hit the miniguns. If you hit them directly, it will normally take them out in 1 missile, but if you try to take both of them out at the same time by hitting like in between the miniguns, it will normally take you about 2 missiles. But then the most important thing that I learned is that if you manage to get close enough, it can actually take out a Factory Strider if you use all 4 shots underneath of it, hitting it directly in the belly. And I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off. All 4 shots from a Commando that has a 2-minute cooldown timer versus 1 whole Factory Strider, that's an easy trade that I'm willing to make any day. And then obviously it's going to do a pretty good job when you're taking on Devastators and Heavy Devastators and stuff like that. The only thing I found that the Commando struggles against is large groups of enemies. Like if there's a large group of automatons all gathered up together, don't bother wasting your missiles on the large groups because there just isn't that much splash damage with each of these missiles. So if you fire this thing in a large group, you're only going to maybe kill 1 or 2 of them. You're not going to take out the whole group. I even tried rapid firing all 4 missiles into a large group, and it still doesn't really matter. There's just not that big of a blast radius from each of these missiles, so it does struggle in that regard. When you're using this thing, you want to focus on individual targets. Don't focus on large groups of enemies. And then switching over to the Teminid side of things, same thing applies to large groups of small bugs. Like if there's, let's say, 10 to 20 small bugs chasing you, the Commando isn't really going to be your go-to in that sort of situation. If you shoot your Commando missiles into a large group of bugs, you're only going to kill maybe 3 or 4 at a time. You're not going to be taking out, let's say, 10 plus bugs with each shot. That's just not how this thing is designed. So definitely don't use the Commando against large groups of bugs either. You definitely want to focus on those larger individual targets. And speaking of larger individual targets, how does the Commando do against, let's say, the Chargers? Well, luckily, it takes only 2 shots to kill a Charger, so if you want to bring the Commando with you on some Teminid missions, you can take out 2 Chargers before you have to discard this thing and bring in a new one. And then obviously, since the Commando does a good job against Chargers, it's also going to do a good job against the Bile Spewers and the Nursing Spewers as well. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about the Bile Titan. Now with the Bile Titan, I personally had a lot of mixed results. Now I saw some people saying that this thing was absolutely god tier because on paper, it should be able to 2-shot kill a Bile Titan. And in my testing, I was able to 2-shot kill a Bile Titan. It is possible, but I only got that to happen once, and I tested it on like 10 different Bile Titans. So it is technically possible that you can two-shot kill a Bile Titan. It's just going to be pretty hard to do so. I would say on average, it probably took me all 4 of my shots with the Commando to take out a Bile Titan. You have to very accurately hit them specifically in a certain part of their face to be able to two-shot them. I tried shooting them while they're puking. I tried shooting them when they weren't puking. I tried shooting them when they were completely off guard and they didn't know I was there yet. Like, I tried a bunch of different scenarios against the Bile Titan, and like I said, on average, it took me about all 4 shots to kill the Bile Titan. But if you're a lot more accurate than I was, and you have a little bit of luck on your side, you will be able to two-shot kill those Bile Titans. So overall, in conclusion, my thoughts on the MLS-4x Commando is that this is a really good stratagem. I honestly wasn't expecting too much from this based off of what I saw from the leaks a couple months ago, and I wasn't too excited to get yet another missile launcher because we have so many already, but I was pleasantly surprised. I do enjoy how strong and powerful this thing is. Like I said, the fact that it can take out factories in one shot is amazing, and that alone is reason enough to bring this on Automaton missions for me. I see this being in a lot of my loadouts going forward. I wish the cooldown time was a little bit faster, but, you know, I feel like 2 minutes is pretty fair and pretty balanced, and I can't really complain too much about the cooldown time being 2 minutes. So yeah, definitely check out the new Commando missile launcher. I think it's probably one of the best support stratagems in the game right now. And if I had to rank this, I'd probably put it at like a solid S tier. Like, I really ended up enjoying the new Commando missile launcher. So that's going to do it for everything in today's video, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. That way we don't miss out on any future Helldivers 2 videos. And that's going to do it for me, guys. And I will talk to you all next time.